Hey, join us as we continue the hunt for more horsepower in this late model Camaro. Today on HorsePower TV, we'll see how much new horsepower we can make on this late model Camaro. First, by swapping injectors, then the throttle body, bolting on performance pulleys, and a new computer control module. Also, Chuck and I will take you to Las Vegas to check out the hot hardware and other attractions of the annual SEMA show. So hang on for HorsePower TV.
Hi, and welcome to the Horsepower Shop. Now, this week, we're going to be adding some more basic bolt-ons to one of our latest project cars, this 94 Z28 that Joe has just head out for a little test drive.
Yeah, man, I got to tell you, after those changes we made a couple of weeks ago, you can really feel it in the seat of your pants.
Can I get you something for that?
Depends. But to bring you up to date on this project, we first baselined it on the Dyno jet at about 231 horsepower. Then we picked up 8 horsepower with the Moroso cold air kit. After that, we bolted on embark headers, a high-flow cat from Random Technologies, and a catback exhaust, and all that gave us an additional 22 more horses. That's 261 horsepower at the rear wheel. But guess what? We ain't stopping there.
Now, you need to keep in mind that that old Z28's got over 120,000 miles on it, still on the original injectors, and hey, that's probably reason enough for a swap. But we're going to use these new injectors from Excel. Now, these are rated at 26 pounds, and well, the old ones are rated at 24, so we'll get a little more fuel, but still they're a direct bolt-in. Now, they also have an improved spray pattern and a shorter duty cycle, which should translate to better throttle response, more horsepower, and a longer life expectancy.
Well, after disconnecting the battery and the main fuel lines, we can dive right in by unplugging the harness from the fuel injectors. Then you can pry out the fuel rail. There we go. And the injectors come out with it. Here's what the assembly looks like out of the car. Now, what do you say we go to the workbench and swap out our injectors? There it is. Now, once you pry this clip loose, the injector pulls right out from the fuel rail. But before we install this new one here, here's a little tip for you. Put a little dab of petroleum jelly on the upper O-ring. That way it'll slide into the rail a lot easier. And there it is, loaded up with our new injectors.
Hey, great job. Now, before we reinstall this fuel rail assembly back on the engine, we're going to go ahead and replace the stock fuel pressure regulator with this adjustable one from Excel. Now, what this thing will do is allow us to fine-tune the fuel delivery for maximum power. We're also going to install one of their pressure gauges to help us make the right adjustments. Now, the new regulator just bolts right up here at the back of the fuel rail, and you make your adjustments right here on this set screw using an Allen wrench. Now, once we get the fuel rail bolted back onto the engine, we're going to set it for a nominal 40 psi. Well, I'm all done. Looks like it's time for you to go back to work.
Looks like it. This fuel rail and injector assembly is about ready to go in after more petroleum jelly. See, we need to lube up these lower O-rings now so this thing will slide back home into the manifold. There, that went in pretty easy. Now, once I get this thing bolted down, we can plug up the wiring harness again and reconnect the fuel lines and battery. Oh, once you fire the engine for the first time, it's a good idea to check for fuel leaks. After we check ours, we'll be ready for our first Dyno jet run.
Well, how'd we do?
263, so we picked up a couple of horsepower. Not a bad place to start, but let's see what happens when we adjust the fuel pressure now.
Let's give it a couple more pounds and see what happens.
Good deal. All right, 264, another horsepower. I guess we're about optimized now.
You bet. So I guess our little tuning trick is working. Now, what you want to do is increase your fuel pressure just a couple of PSI at a time until you see your power start dropping off. Then go ahead and back the pressure off until you have the last best setting.
Yeah, and if you don't have a dyno jet to use, you can also use your local track or a piece of technology like this G-Tech accelerometer, in which case, of course, you tune by your elapsed time.
Well, it's time for us to take a little bit of a break here. Let's let the Camaro cool down, but we'll be back with more bolt-ons right after this. Let me see that thing.
Later in the show, Chuck and I explore the beauty and high-performance beast of this year's SEMA show in Vegas. Stay tuned for the fun. Hi, welcome back to the shop and more performance bolt-ons for Chuck's 94 Z28. Well, so far today, we've added about 3 horsepower just by swapping out the injectors and by adding an adjustable fuel regulator.
Yeah, but you know, horsepower isn't the whole story. The improved spray pattern from those new injectors has really helped out that throttle response as well.
Well, here's something else that'll help that response. It's a new throttle body from BBK Performance. Now, this thing's CNC machined with fully polished throttle bores and a pair of 52mm throttle blades. Now, it's a direct bolt-on, uses factory-style linkage, and they claim will increase your flow up to 35%.
Well, I've already disconnected the battery and removed the air inlet duct. Now, I've also disconnected the vacuum lines and the throttle linkage, and well, there are a couple of water connections underneath the throttle body that also need to be disconnected. Now, once we remove the 4 bolts that hold it in place and move it out of the way, we'll be able to get to them. Well, now we need to transfer this water crossover and the throttle position sensor from the old throttle body to the new one.
All right. Notice how much work I'm getting him to do today? Well, right now it's time for me to go to work and install this new throttle body. We don't want to forget to use the new gasket and the new longer bolts that come with the kit. Now, of course, after you get the throttle body bolted up, there we go. Go ahead and reconnect your throttle position sensor and the water crossover. Well, next, with the ignition on, you need to check your voltage with a digital meter like this one. Now, our specs call for 0.5 to 0.9 volts, but check your manual for your specs.
You know, with all the changes that we've made, we're moving a lot more air and fuel through our motor here. In fact, a whole lot more than our stock computer was ever engineered to manage. So, we're going to install this Stage 2 power control module from Jet Performance Products. Now, this thing's been engineered specifically to work with the modifications that we've made to the intake and exhaust tracks on our Camaro. But in order to install it, we need to first remove the stock computer. It's located right down here in front of the firewall. After removing 2 bolts, you can carefully remove the computer from its location. Then unplug the appropriate harness connector from the computer and reconnect the new control module in line between that connector and the stock computer. There, that computer went in there pretty easily. Now what do you say we fire this thing up and see what it's got?
All right, that time we made 269.7, let's call it 270 horsepower.
Yeah, but we're not quite done here yet. We want to fine-tune just a little bit more with that fuel pressure regulator to compensate for our new throttle body and the more aggressive timing and fuel curves that we've got in the computer.
Plus, we've got one more modification we want to try. It's this underdrive pulley from BBK. It's going to slow the accessories down a little bit and maybe give us a little more horsepower. We'll find out after we install it and make our final run on the Dyno jet. Now, the new pulley just installs between the hub and this old pulley balancer assembly. Well, obviously now we'll need a new shorter belt. You can check the instructions to get the part number for your application. Okay, now let's get the car down and back on the Dyno jet.
Hold on, not so fast. While we got this thing in the air, I've got one more bolt on that ought to help my old Camaro here hook and look good. Now, these 17 by 9-inch wheels come from SLP Performance, and well, they're the chrome-plated version of the same wheels that come on the 2000 Camaro SS. Now, we've mounted them with BF Goodrich Comp TAs, 275 40s that are a whole lot wider than the stock rubber. They really ought to help us plant the power and straighten out the curves.
Okay, how about 278 horsepower at the rear wheel? And remember, these are easy bolt-ons that you can do right in your driveway.
Wow, that's pretty strong. Now, we're going to drive away ourselves to Las Vegas and the SEMA show. We'll meet you there right after this.
And now, a horsepower happening, celebrating the people, places, and events of the high-performance lifestyle.
Hey, welcome back. That's right, we're back in Las Vegas for the annual SEMA show. Now, whenever you come to this place, you can always count on three things.
Yeah, the hottest hardware, most bodacious bodies, and anything and everything outrageous.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. Would you make this out to Chuck, please?
To Chuck.
Remember when 17-inch rims were all the rage? Well, now everybody's got 20s on their street machines, and here at the SEMA show this year, 22s are the big ticket. And where is it all going to end?
Well, apparently it ain't, Chuck. Are you ready for this? A 36-inch wheel. The only problem is, where am I going to find a tire to fit this thing?
Hey, now I know this might look like just another yellow 69 Camaro, but hey, it's what you don't see that makes this one so special. Now, under the hood is a fuel-injected 406 cubic inch small block Chevy backed by a 6-speed overdrive transmission. Out back, there's a narrowed 9-inch rear end complemented by massive 315/35 17 rubber. And on the inside, check out that handcrafted dash, and those Recaro seats, they've been recovered in the original houndstooth.
That's pretty cool, Chuck, but if you're looking for room, here's a seat that even you'd feel comfortable in. Why not suddenly feel like Tom Thumb?
Hey, now we told you that this is the place for the most outrageous. Well, how about the ultimate car hauler?
Of course, back here, using the remote control, you can load, stack, and haul 2 of your prized rides.
Now, this thing's a real hot rod to haul your hot rod. It's a Freightliner Argosy with a 650-horse turbocharged Cummins engine backed by an Eaton 13-speed transmission. I gotta tell you, this baby will flatten the highest of hills.
Now, as you travel along to the car show, you can ride in the lap of luxury with soft leather seats and entertainment center. In fact, all the comforts of home.
I'll say.
Oh man, let's find some cars to get in this thing.
Well, Well, here's something I wouldn't mind throwing up in that transporter. It's a Trans Am convertible, and check this out. It's got a Vortex supercharged and an intercooled LS1 cranking out over 600 horsepower. On the inside, there's a pair of Sparco racing seats with a 6-speed shifter and a stereo that cranks out about a gazillion watts.
Now, here's a car at SEMA I found that gets my pony heart pumping. How about a brand new Mustang with some styling cues from the old days? For example, the front end, now that's classic 60s Mustang all the way. But back here, we're talking new generation GT. Hey, call it retro tech, call it nostalgia. I call this one mighty cool Mustang.
Well, that's just a little look at the hot machinery, the hardware.
Oh, and not to mention the bodacious bodies here at SEMA. Now, we'd like to show you guys more, but we got to get out of here.
Tell you what, we'll see you back in the shop right after this.
Oh, there's one more body I want you to check the lines on. I think you'll like it. Next, we rock along with a look at roller rockers on Quick Tech, so stay with us.
Most modern engines with a central camshaft location rely on rocker arms not only to actuate the valve train but also to multiply the lift ratio that's transmitted through the push rod from the camshaft lobes. Now, a stock stamped steel rocker like this one is inexpensive to produce and works well in a stock application. Today on Quick Tech, we're going to take a look at some of your rocker arm options using these from Comp Cams. Plus, we're going to point out some of the differences and benefits. Even the stamped steel rocker can be improved for performance applications with a longer slot here to accommodate high lift cams. And the grooved pivot ball improves lubrication to prevent galling when you're running a set of high performance springs with higher seat pressures. Now, if you're on a budget, you might want to consider Comp's Magnum tip roller rockers. Now, they'll reduce friction, but they have the simple reliability of a stamped steel rocker. Plus, they're chrome moly investment castings that provide a precise rocker arm ratio for consistent valve lift. Of course, that means more horsepower. Now, if you're building a serious horsepower engine, well, you might want to consider stepping up to these full rollers. Now, these are made from billet aluminum, and the rollerized trunnion and tip reduce friction to free up a few more horses. Plus, the precision machining always assures us of accurate rocker ratios. Finally, we have their Pro Magnum. Now, it's a chrome moly roller that gives you the lightweight and affordability of aluminum and the rock-solid reliability of stainless steel. Now, it too is a fully rollerized trunnion and tip. Plus, here's another cool feature. It's rebuildable, and the oversized trunnion makes it the perfect choice for a race engine using stiff springs. Well, regardless of which rocker arms you choose, a set of poly locks like these will help your rockers keep their settings.
Good advice there, partner. Too bad you're already off your rocker. However, we want you to stay put in yours. Hot Parts is next. Stay tuned.
Horsepower TV's Hot Parts, a close-up look at the latest in high-performance hardware.
If you're running a Turbo 400 in your street machine, here's a good way to get you into the passing lane. It's an electric kickdown kit from Locar that replaces the factory switch that's become impossible to find. Now, it features this billet aluminum switch box and a stainless steel encased cable for a reliable operation. Now, if you want one of these, better plan on kicking out about 55 bucks.
You know, we call them like we see them, and, well, these tilt columns from CJ's rods are some of the best that we've seen lately. Now, they're brand new, not rebuilt, and they're available in either column shift or floor shift for most popular GM, Ford, and Mopar applications. Plus, you can get them either painted, polished, or, check that out, stainless steel. Now, I wouldn't steer you wrong either. Prices start at about $675.
I guess there's nothing cool about yellow snow, but just check out this purple ice for your radiator. It'll help reduce temperatures by improving heat transfer, and it resists corrosion, and it's safe for your aluminum radiator. To get yourself a bottle, just shell out a cool $11.
Man, I don't know about that yellow snow. What I do know about, though, is next week's show. Take a quick look.
We're bringing back our Bel Air bracket racer for a new 9-inch rear end, along with heavy-duty billet control arms and high-performance drag shocks. We'll have a quick tech on the best way to start up your street machine and visit a California car collection representing over 60 years of high-performance history.
And remember, high-performance fun is what this show's all about.
Hey, let's go break in the rubber on this Camaro the right way. Whoa, that sounds good.
For information about the products used in today's show and more, check us out online at horsepowertv.com. Horsepower TV is an RTM production.